Swanson, welcome to Upfront. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Yeah, so excited to have you on the show. Gil said, hey, we've got this amazing director from the Clark sisters film, which everyone is still raving about. Everyone's still talking about how awesome that movie was. And I said, absolutely, we got to have her on. And I think I was familiar with the name, but then when I saw your face, I was like, oh, wait a minute. This is the director from the Mickey Howard story, which I totally loved. I love Tiana Paris, I love Mickey Howard. And so let's talk about, how did you get involved with the Clark sisters story?
Well, I had to interview for the job, many directors. I remember I was directing Chicago PD when I was called for this particular job, and I was actually on a TV directing track.
Okay.
And it wasn't like something, I wasn't looking to do another TV movie per se, but it was the Clark sisters, and I'm from Detroit.
I was gonna say it's a natural fit.
Well, I just it might sound odd, but I felt like God was like, no, you're gonna do this right now, and you're gonna make sure that the Clark sisters have a movie that is as fabulous as they are, as the legend that they are from Detroit.
Yeah. You know, when I was, and I tell everyone this, when I heard that it was Lifetime, I got a little nervous because I think some of the previous biopics were they were okay. But when I watched this one, there was something so different about it. There was something so like, oh gosh, they got it right this time. Like, this was absolutely perfect. The actors were great. The singing was phenomenal. Even the details of the costumes, the hair, the furniture in the home. I mean, everything was perfect. So being that you are from Detroit, I mean, it was a natural fit for you to do this. Were you already a Clark sisters fan?
Well, yes, but mind you, Detroit also has numerous musical geniuses from Motown, Aretha Franklin, the Winans, Anita Baker, Clark sisters. So growing up in Detroit, I was immersed in this like music mecca, so to speak. And like that's another vocabulary that I speak. I speak a music vocabulary, but it doesn't come out as a singer, songwriter, or producer. I I feel like it comes out in storytelling.
Yeah.
So me being a fan of the Clark sisters had a lot to do with the fact that these are women, Black women from Detroit who looked a lot like the Black women from Detroit who raised me. So I felt it was like an act of service to give back to the people who deposited so much in my own life. And I'm like, you know what? I gotta do it for my folks, but I also have to do it for the culture.
Yeah.
And I felt like, as an award-winning filmmaker, I thought if there's anything that I should be doing in my life is using my talents and my skill set to elevate other people. And the Clark sisters are those people that I would lay it down on the line to make sure that I could do their story right.
Yeah. And so how did working on the Mickey Howard story prepare you for this? Because like I said, this was your second time doing a biopic on a
Right.
musical icon. So what did you glean from doing that helped you with this?
Well, I'm not sure that you're aware, but when I did the movie at TV1, it also broke network ratings.
Oh yeah, no,
Like it,
I'm very familiar. Yeah.
and, and so what it did was understanding that it helped me to understand my audience and what it is that they were moved by, right? So the process of making Mickey Howard, I worked directly with Mickey Howard, and we spoke like for 50 hours,
Mm.
and we worked together on that script until it came to a point where she was happy, and then we were able to add so many like nuggets to it, right?
Right.
Um, I'm going to turn off my notification. And in doing that, I felt a little bit of confidence in terms of how to shape a narrative about a living human being who happens to be a music legend. So I gleaned all that from my own experiences, and I took the best parts of it and I applied it to the Clark sisters in a way that I knew my audience would connect to. So that was the main, to me as a storyteller, I'm always trying to reach for your heart and your gut. Okay. And because if I don't have that and all I'm doing is painting by numbers and that's not interesting to me. And that's very lackluster. And it's not what these legends deserve. So I'm always trying, I'm in awe of these women, but I'm also a skilled storyteller in my own way. So and I'm a passionate lover of music. So this was the culmination of all those different parts of me that came together to now, throw it into a storytelling format. And just I was reaching for the rafters, you know.
What was it like working with Holly Carter, as well as Queen Latifah, Mary J. Blige, and Missy Elliott, who were all executive producers of this project?
Well, I know that the story had been in works for 15 years and they could not get it greenlit anywhere, you know. And finally, I think, as the story goes, Holly Carter approached Queen Latifah, and once Queen Latifah came on board, Lifetime greenlit it, just like that. So this speaks to really the collective power of women who have already achieved a certain level of success. So because Queen Latifah, Mary J. Blige, and Missy Elliott lent their names to this project, it was able to get greenlit pretty quickly and with a truly adequate budget to do it as well as we could do it. So I can't speak enough of what that kind of influence does for stories that need to be told by us. So that was great, you know. But most of the people, we shot this in Canada, so in Toronto, and pretty much I was just surrounded by Canadians, you know, and mainly my main talent. You know, we brought in the 5 girls and Ingenue Ellis, and everybody else is Canadian.
Oh, wow.
So it yeah, it was kind of a feat because I'm very particular about Black people and Black looking people. And like, we just had to fish through every Black person in Toronto until they looked the part for me show up on camera. And I think I don't think there's a missed note in terms of the casting.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's, speaking of casting, I think I had read that Clark-Sheard was originally not supposed to play her mom.
Right.
She was supposed to have a small part.
Yeah, so Kiara was just, she wasn't presuming that she was going to be in this movie at all. So, but she asked, could I audition for Auntie Denise? Okay. And I'm looking at Kiara and I'm looking at her and I'm like, no, you're not going to audition for Auntie Denise. You're going to play your mother, okay? And she's like, what? Because that was a bigger role. And she's like, I don't really know. I said, Kiara, look at me. You look like your mother. You sound like your mother. You have all the qualities that your mother possesses. You are going to play your mother. Wrap your mind around it. Let's go. And I had decided to hire singers. Initially, the way Lifetime does it is, they lay down music tracks, hire actors, and then they're lip syncing the music. Right. And again, I told you I have another music vocabulary, and like that music lover was like, that doesn't feel right. That doesn't feel right. So I asked Donna Lawrence, our magnificent music producer, I said, listen, show me a scenario where I can cast real singers. Like, could you vocally use real singers and create that Clark sister blend? And he was like, I think I can do that. I'm like, great. And so we walked through the kind of voices that he needed until we picked out, he said I needed 3 voices minimally to create that blend. So the first voice, Kira was the second person I cast. Okay. The first person was Shalea Frazier, who played Dorinda. Okay. And Shalea and I had been working on a project together. And when I got the call to direct Clark Sisters, and I already knew like Shalea she just can blow. She's really one of our best singers singing today. Yeah. And I called Shalea and I'm like, I'm going to direct a Clark Sisters movie. Who you want to play? And she was like, Dorinda. And she looks just like her. So I'm like, okay, you're going to be Dorinda. And that's how I cast singers. Like Shalea just happened to be my friend. And I'm like, she grew up on the Clark Sisters. So that was to me a natural fit in terms of bringing in real singers who are she's a gospel singer too, but that's her tradition, who are at the highest level in their game. And
Right.
then what I did was I flew to Detroit, met with Kiera. I had Shalea fly to Detroit to meet us. I told them to sit down at a keyboard and sing a song. So they sang, I'm looking for a miracle, right? And I videotaped it. I sent it to the producers. They sent it to the network and they were blown away, and the rest is history. So
Wow.
that's how I convinced the network to let me cast real singers. And those were the two singers that I brought on board. And then we went through the casting process and found Christina Bell, who plays Twinkie, who is an amazing gospel singer in her own right. So
Yeah.
that was our three-part blend that Donna Lawrence needed to create the Clark Sister sound. But we were also able to get Angela Burchett, who's from Detroit and who's a Broadway singer who plays Jackie. And with her vocal prowess, that's how you created that beautiful sound where the Clark sisters listen to it and they're like, oh my goodness, they sound better than us.
Wow. So when you have numbers like 2.7 million viewers, it's the #1 original movie of 2020. It's been 4 years since Lifetime has had a mega hit like this. Where do you go from here?
Right.
Where do you go? What's next for you?
Well, as we are talking right now, over 12 million people have viewed it to date. So since it dropped opening night, 2.7 million, now it's to over 12 million people. And it feels like every last one of them have reached out to me. So congratulating me. And I'm very, very thankful and blessed by that.
Yeah.
So I have a lot of opportunities like in front of me right now that I'm trying to, figure out what's the best way to go. But one of the passion stories that I've been trying to do for a couple of years, even before I did this project, was I was going to do a musical, which is going to be the Black La La Land, and the goal being like, because I love music, you know. I wanted to tell a story using real singers. So honestly, like the Clark Sisters story was just a practice run for what I was going to do anyway, which was a musical with real singers and it's a love letter to Black music. So it's good. It's like a cross between The Wiz and Moulin Rouge with a touch of La La Land with all Black folks. Wow. So since I did the Clark Sisters, like I had all kind of people reaching out to me, some of them who are amazing musicians. And I'm like, hey, I got this musical. You want to talk about it? And every last one of them are amenable and willing to talk about it. So I'm building that right now as we speak, as well as very prominent other singers have reached out to say, hey, let's do my biopic next.
Okay.
That might be my genre, maybe. And I'm happy to do it. I love singers. I love our Black legends. And I love highlighting the genius that is Black art, Black culture, Black brilliance, and Black genius. So that's, to me, it's my pleasure. And again, it's an act of service to me to properly frame up our heroes through music and in telling their stories in a way that people are satisfied by the storytelling and inspired by it.
Wow. I was gonna say, when you mentioned The Wiz, I've got this is my backdrop, and it changes every week. So this week is a tribute to Black Broadway and movies. And so there's The Wiz, The Last Dragon, Serafina, Lady Sings the Blues, Ain't Misbehavin', Dreamgirls, Lena Horne, The Bodyguard, and Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. So
all of that. I'm feeling all of that right now. So that's a God wink. You know what a God wink is? Yeah, that's a God wink. Because I am looking at, I'm like, that's The Wiz.
Yeah.
And that I grew up watching The Wiz, and it's just, I love singers. I love storytelling. And if I can combine the two, I want to try it. And I do dramas as well, so I can do it all. There's nothing I can't direct. I'm just really feeling like the music vibe right now. And I really hit it off with Donna Lawrence. And he and I are trying to figure out what we can do next together as well as with Anjanou Ellis, who is, to me, like the best actress of her generation, in my humble opinion.
Absolutely. Well, Christine Swanson, thank you so much for being a guest today on Upfront, and much success to you. And I will definitely be rooting for more of those stories, and I can't wait to see what you, as well as the others, do in 2020 and 2021. So stay safe.